Behind the Cape. The Netflix WB purchase.
Netflix has, potentially acquired Warner Brothers for $82 billion or so. 82 bill. We're just above what Disney paid for Fox. So, a couple things. Both companies have put out glowing statements about how nothing's going to change. And, Ted Sarandos is like, we believe in the theatrical. It'll stay there. He's also saying that he believes that the public, the viewing audience, is telling him or telling the industry that they don't want long theatrical windows. Just to show you how either ideologically consistent or how truthful we're being in our summation of where we are with media nowadays. And then also there was a Truth Social post or not Grindr. What's the Rumble or I don't know where they posted
Rumble.
this at, but Trump's DOJ seemingly postured that I think they said that they would have a better chance paying the monopoly fees, $5 billion in breakup fees, the $5 billion in breakup fees than they would of getting this merger to go through. That's the one thing I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to is the fact that this does have to clear the FTC. It's definitely, it feels like a monopolization. The biggest downside for me to this acquisition is that the people acquiring it do not believe in the theatrical experience. It doesn't matter how much they posture to the public. No, it's not going to change. We believe in the No, they don't. They don't. And they're either gaslighting themselves or they're creating the sort of pretext to why they will then eventually kill theaters, which is, people want to watch movies at home. No, they don't. No, they don't. And not that they don't view things at home, not that they don't have content that they will specifically view at home. They don't want theatrical experiences at home. We're getting ready to tell you about a film right now from a competitor that's made almost $1 billion in 2 weeks. It's got to be the biggest condemnation to this idea that people would rather watch movies at home. People don't want to spend money they don't have on bad movies. See, if people are going to extend themselves spending money that they don't have, what are some of the biggest things that Klarna hits for? Clothing, things to go out and be seen in, vacations, experiences to create, right? People will go into debt for that. It's not smart, but they will. They'll go into debt for luxury. What Hollywood has been presenting for these at least half a decade now has by and large not been luxury. So when I'm down to my last $15, I can just save that shit in DoorDash as opposed to going to see the 7 o'clock showing of whatever Marvel movie is up right now. Why would I do that? You want me to spend my last $15 on Love and Thunder? You crazy?
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. So therein lies the problem. It's clearly quality. Netflix does not lead in the quality section when we're talking about
not
theatrical
films.
Yeah, not, especially not anything that they're putting on even what they're putting on the screen, right? There's glass, onion, or bust. And so they fixed that problem by acquiring Warner Brothers, who had the hottest year in the box office of any studio this year.
Yep.
And then they also acquire one of the largest film and television libraries available on the market and bring it into their service. So now the large lead they had in subscribers versus their streaming competitors just grew tenfold. If this goes through.
Yeah.
They've also just locked down Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and all of the nostalgic material that we still go to HBO Max for.
Yep.
DC animated stuff.
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network archive stuff. Right? Like the Wire, Lovecraft Country, Sopranos.
So they just expand their catalog a shit ton. My question is, okay, so the CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos, said what he said about what the customers want. Obviously, it behooves him to say something like that, even if the if everything shows him that that's a lie, still behooves him to say that because their
That's how
model
Netflix is set up.
their model is set up in a way that
he doesn't even really have to believe that. That's how he serves his business interests.
absolutely
Doesn't have to actually make sense.
Is there a way that would fit their customer model that would also still work for theater goers, or do we think this is just doom and gloom for theater goers? Like, is there a way to suffice for both sides, right? Somebody who does like to see some things at home, but then wants a theater experience for other things, or is it doom and gloom for theaters?
I think the problem is that we're starting off on a point of concession. They want to work on the theatrical window. They want the theatrical window to be shortened. And the worst time ever that we had in the theaters is when we shortened this thing down to 30 days. When it was 30 days in, 30 days out. Mm-hmm. And then it's right on streaming services. That was, well, it was probably even worse when they did day and date releases, where it was in the theaters and the streaming services at the same time. That was the worst of them all. But a slight variation of that was the 30-day window. Mm-hmm. 45 days is optimal because it keeps it in there long enough that you don't have to see it opening week. And that you can wait on another bi-weekly paycheck to go see this movie and it still be there.
Right.
It's also how the film industry kind of sets their schedules. Is based off of 45-day weekend or windows. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that necessarily affects the film industry long term if we shorten everything down to 30. So now, does the pace of the script speed up? Or are we going to be trying to force feed ready-made content, more commercially available content, for the sake of people being able to maximize it in the short amount of time that they're there? So in instance, are we going to be making movies that we want people to go back and see 4, 5, 6 times if we know it's only going to be there for a month? Those people are never going to have a chance to go see that movie that many times.
Right.
If it's only going to be there 30 days, do we have a chance to create actual cult classic films? Do we have a chance to create deep, engaging genre films where people actually have to think? Or does the content get even more easily digestible, more like reality TV, assembly line content? Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a way to reverse that trend. If the place we're starting on is, all right, y'all can keep the theaters, but we're only on 30-day weekends, or 30-day windows, that will slowly track backwards. And as the theaters are continuously affected, it'll be less and less a reason to even keep up with a 30-day window. What Netflix proposes to do will largely affect the places, not the enthusiasm of people wanting to go to those places, but the actual places, the infrastructure of the theater industry. And once that's gone, there is no reason to pay homage to it anymore because it's impossible. Mm-hmm. Go see it at a Netflix house or don't see it at all. I don't think a media company should be able to own this much content either. There simply isn't that much American media for them to just be able to hoard it all. And so this is concerns that I've always had with Disney as well. But we're getting to a point where there will only be 2 legitimate players in the media space, and really they have no incentive to compete against each other. They have no real incentive to compete against each other. So honestly, it just brings us closer and closer to one wholly owned technocratic media company that owns everything. Is what it's inching us closer and closer to. Yeah. How many years do you think Apple's going to sit around and lose to these folks? How many years is Jeff Bezos going to keep pouring his pouring his money into film and getting nothing back from it? If James Bond flops, what reason would Jeff Bezos have to continue to make media? Richest man in the world already without it. What does he need to continue to have failing projects and movies and TV shows? What, you going to do the Boys season 12?
Nah, bro. Final season coming out April 8th.
Invincible season 20? Like, he's going to need something other than that. And so how long before Netflix or Disney come sniffing around him. Or Paramount come sniffing around him in their content and everything they own. In the MGM studios. And MGM Plus and all that other shit that they own. How long? Best case scenario, they spend a few years ramming their heads together trying to figure out how this shit works. They suffer huge losses in the midst of it. It starts to affect their general growth, and they either spin it off or sell it to somebody else. Because if Netflix has their way, they will find a way to use the superior movie making apparatuses at WB to beef up their original made content. That way they don't have to spend so much on licensing. They don't have to spend so much on, giving the Disney's millions and giving Amazon millions and giving Universal millions and giving Paramount millions in licensing fees every year so they can show their stuff because they can't stand on their own original backbone. Okay, well, you have one of the best creating studios as far as television is concerned, and also one of the hottest film studios in the industry as well right now. So that kind of clears up the whole creative writer's block shit. Also, they have another studio now that can fill in the gaps of their goddamn 2.5 years to make an 8-episode season bullshit. Best case scenario is either they get this shit blocked or they fail so miserably at it that it makes more sense to sell it. And sure, that would devalue WB being twice sold over, but such is Discovery, right? They just got sold twice in less than 5 years. They'll be fine. I do not trust the hands that this thing is currently in. And I understand 45 days is, and it's compared to like what the norm has become. It's longer, but it serves more people. It gives more people a chance to see it. Especially when you folks are coming out and trying to re-release the films anyways. Oh, let's re-release it in October for Halloween season. Let's re-release it in the fall for award season. I think things are going to get bad, man. I have never wanted the Cheeto Man to do anything. I've never called for him to do anything specifically. But damn, if we could find a way for him to block this and the Paramount deal still not go through, so we got to force it to Universal, dream scenario. That would be a dream.
Trump's been doing a lot of things that you've liked lately. Between that and Rush Hour 4?
Nah, I didn't necessarily champion the Rush Hour 4
okay.
thing. Okay. I wasn't terribly mad at it, but the director got a weirdo case.
Right.
But in light of the purchase, or the potential sale to Netflix, James Gunn says this about theatrical releases. It's incredibly important for DC after the Warner Brothers Netflix merger news. The continual theatrical experience is something that, is something that is incredibly important and remarkably well studied to our big spectacle films. So just kind of rehashing his position on it. And I think it's the best time to do that, right? That there didn't really seem to be an abundance of, well, let me not say that. Because, Christopher Nolan and a lot of people from the Directors Guild has been speaking up on this, and there's been different politicians to be speaking about as well. But in terms of like Hollywood figures, there aren't, at least to this point, I haven't seen a whole bunch of hand wringing from individuals. Mm-hmm. So it is good to see that, at least for now, a guy who's involved in the front office over there still has a theatrical mindset. Now, how much sway does he have versus the entire apparatus of Netflix, which is in lockstep with the idea that people want to see this stuff in their houses? I don't know. But it is good to see him on the good side of it, on the right side of it, right side of history.
Mofly said gun time is seriously running short at DC. He might as well get ready. Snyder will return.
Dog.
Snyder will return.
I mean, I can't rule it out. It's not like they have a bunch of directors over there that are experienced with superhero films, DC specifically.
Sure.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy if we came all the way back full circle just to have the Snyderverse reenacted. It would be insane.
I agree.